The San Francisco 49ers Jim Harbaugh era came to a close today, and I think it's really sad. First of all, congratulations to Coach Harbaugh for winning his 45th game. His record with the 49ers stands at 45 wins and 19 losses. He beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-17. His players and coaches gave him a nice send-off. He spoke to the press for 20 minutes afterward and talked about how great it was to, well, he got his words kind of twisted, showered with and all that. That aside, we know what he meant. He meant that it was great to bask in the glow of the 49ers organization, and he wishes everyone success in the future, of course. But the simple fact of the matter is that he is leaving under very strange circumstances. When Jim Harbaugh was first announced as the next coach of the San Francisco 49ers in 2011 in January, I wrote then, when I was posting at the San Francisco Chronicle website, NSF Gate City Brights, that I would not be surprised to see Jim Harbaugh hoist a Vince Lombardi trophy over his shoulders in the near future. I was almost correct, because in the Super Bowl in in New Orleans 2 years ago, Harbaugh was just one blown call away from doing just that. It didn't happen. But what happened after that, I think, is summed up best in a great column by Mike Freeman over at Bleacher Report. I really highly recommend that you check it out, because Freeman explains that there was a rift between the front office and Harbaugh regarding how to handle players with legal issues like Colin Kaepernick or Ray McDonald and others. And Harbaugh felt they were being too lenient, whereas Harbaugh would have taken, for example, the David Shaw approach that he took at Stanford with Steven Skull, where he had a DUI, the linebacker, star linebacker, and Harbaugh said, David Shaw, Coach Shaw said, you know what? You can't play. You're suspended. So he didn't play the 2011 season. So Harbaugh didn't have that kind of leeway. And as I understand, according to Freeman's column, that was the center of their differences. Then on top of that, there were people leaking ideas that he was going to be traded to Cleveland, or this scenario where the Raiders is going to transpire. And Tim Kawakami over at the San Jose Mercury News reported that Harbaugh said to him today, hey, if you can tell me who was leaking that information, I'd like to know. You should write about it. And Kawakami's response was, already have. And it's not hard to guess who that person was. I only say that it was within the 49ers front office, and it was a very, very high person in terms of their position. And I'll leave it at that. But that wasn't a good thing to do. It really wasn't. So what we're left with is wondering if the San Francisco 49ers can strike lightning in a bottle twice. Remember, Harbaugh came in to replace Mike Singletary, who, while certainly was an inspirational and colorful coach, didn't build a team that reflected his fiery intensity and transfer that intensity into wins. Harbaugh did that. Let's have a look at some of the closing photographs from today, courtesy of what we see on Twitter here. If you can take a look at what I'm about to show you right here. And I'll enlarge that right there, where you can see that's Harbaugh and Jed York in an embrace, if you could call it that. Better picture of the coach there. This is an interesting quote. He says, Harbaugh approached Frank Gore's sons and said, your dad's the best guy ever. One of them replied, please don't leave. That's sad. Harbaugh, as he would look at Michigan. Another Harbaugh shot. Again, the Twitter tweet from Phil Barber's @_skinny post Twitter account. That's Jim Harbaugh hugging Frank Gore. with Frank Gore's sons in the background there. It's really a cool shot. And there's another shot of Harbaugh. So Harbaugh leaves out game ball a winner, presumably on to Michigan. And greener pastures for him. I really don't think he should have been treated that way. I think there's something going on in Bay Area sports, at least, between owners and coaches. If it isn't Jed York and Jim Harbaugh with the San Francisco 49ers, then Joe Lacob and Mark Jackson with the Golden State Warriors, or Hugh Jackson and Mark Davis / Reggie McKenzie with the Oakland Raiders. And in basketball and football, at least, not so much baseball, there apparently is this growing behavioral style with owners that they have to be so involved that the team must be 100% controlled and ran by them and not the coaches they hire. The coaches they hire are almost implants by them, as opposed to the model that I prefer, which is the one established by Clint Murchison when he purchased and owned the Dallas Cowboys and hired a then little-known coach by the name of Tom Landry, who was a defensive backs coach with the New York Giants and later defensive coordinator with the New York Giants, known for creating a 4-3 defense. At any rate, to make a long story short, Coach Landry was someone who was very mechanical, very engineering-oriented, applied engineering principles to football, didn't quite click with his players, and the Cowboys won one game in their first season. At the time when fans were calling for Landry's head, Mr. Murchison announced they signed Coach Landry to a 10-year contract. Tom Landry went on to have the greatest and longest string of winning seasons of any coach in the history of the National Football League. I wonder if we'll ever see those days again. We have one brain trust that works cohesively to build a football organization to greatness, or for that matter, a basketball organization. It's a sad day. It really is a sad day.